Not the way I wanted to wake up this morning. Jon Jones is off UFC 295 due to injury, and replacing that fight will be an interim fight between Tom Aspinall and Sergei Pavlovich. Dana White announcing this on Twitter last night. I was fast asleep, but woke up to this. Here's what Dana White had to say.
What's up, everybody? Here we are again. You know, Jon Jones was training last night, got injured. He was wrestling, and he tore the tendon that connects your pec to the bone off the bone. 8 months, gonna need surgery, he's out. So, the main event is Prohaska versus Pereira. The co-main event now is Pavlovich versus Aspinall for the interim heavyweight championship. Sergei Pavlovich, the number 2 ranked heavyweight, 18-1 with 15 knockouts. He has an 83% finish rate. His last 7 wins all ended in the very first round. He's tied with Hall of Famer Don Frye for the second longest knockout streak in UFC history. His last 3 wins have been over Derek Lewis, Tai Tuivasa, and Curtis Blades. He's aiming to become the 4th Russian champ in UFC.
Anyways, you get it. Dana's trying to sell the fight. Listen, I think the Aspinall and Pavlovich fight is great. And if you've been watching this channel for a while, I kind of called this. Granted, I said it would be for a vacant title, but no one expected Jon Jones to get injured here either. But yeah, so much to unpack here. Okay, first, let's start with the fact that Stipe Miocic did not take the fight with Sergei Pavlovich. So Pavlovich was the one that they had tabbed as the backup for the original Jon Jones and Stipe fight. So it only seemed natural that Stipe would step up. And I see a lot of people upset by this. You got to understand something. This is a fight they've been trying to put together for years, Jon Jones and Stipe. The other thing you got to understand is Stipe Miocic is 41 years old. You know, if we're going off merit, Stipe absolutely should be fighting Sergei Pavlovich next, but you're talking about one of the greatest heavyweight fighters of all time who's probably going to be fighting his last fight. Listen, there's no upside for Stipe taking on Sergei Pavlovich other than, you know, like to win an interim belt. Like if this was for the vacant title, I could maybe understand it. But for Stipe to win an interim belt, why would he want to do that? You know, like it doesn't make any sense. It's like the whole Michael Chandler, Conor McGregor situation. People are like, why doesn't Chandler just take another fight? You hold out for the big money fight. And at Stipe, at this stage in his career, Stipe has accomplished pretty much everything he needs to accomplish at heavyweight, right? Like he's going to go down as one of the best heavyweights, if not the best heavyweight in the UFC's division period. He's not going to fight Sergei Pavlovich. There's no upside to him doing that. Why not wait out and fight Jon Jones? That's the bigger fight. At least if he loses to Jones, Jones is a huge name. He's, you know, this considered the pound for pound best, all these different things. That's why you take the Stipe fight. Sergei Pavlovich has none of that. He's a great heavyweight, but he has not achieved the accolades that a Jon Jones had. So that's the first thing. I know there's going to be a lot of people saying stuff about Stipe Miocic, but you got to understand here, his body of work speaks for itself in terms of who he's beat and why he's considered one of the best heavyweights of all time. Too often we see legends of the sport fight up and comers and they end up on the other end of a highlight reel. So I kind of understand it from Stipe's perspective. Listen, I don't think Stipe is going to beat Jones if they do end up fighting, but at least if you lose to Jon Jones, it's better than losing to Sergei Pavlovich. So that's something I've seen a lot of on social media, people complaining about Stipe. And I think some of that is justified because especially if you bought tickets to the UFC 295, you wanted to see a big name like Stipe or Jones on the card. Nothing against Pavlovich and Aspinall, but they're not household names. Stipe is to a certain degree just because he was, you know, the former champion there. So yeah, disappointing a bit that Stipe is not taking it, but there we go. One thing that Dana, well, he mentioned that Jones is getting surgery here, but one of the things that I was curious about is like, what's the severity of the injury? Like, should this not be a vacant title maybe? Like, that's one thing I'm thinking of as well is, you know, Yuri, Jamal Hill, they've all vacated their titles. I know technically Jamal Hill's still the champ, but once Yuri and Alex Pereira step in the cage, that title's going to be vacant. So I wonder if there's any discussion of that. Maybe Jones kind of put his foot down and said, no, I'm not vacating. I don't know, but I hopefully they can put this fight together soon. But we don't know the severity of the injury right now. I'm not a doctor. Clearly, that's why I'm here talking about MMA and not doing doctor stuff. You know, the other thing that we got to talk about is the fact that Aspinall and Pavlovich is actually a really good fight. You know, I'm actually happy to see this happen. Again, if you've been watching content on this channel, I did call this a while ago that this fight would happen. Cyril Gahn did not play his cards very well. Maybe if he was a little bit more eager to take a fight like this could have been his interim fight, although he's technically fought for an interim title already anyways, or actually won the interim title, I should say. But let's do a quick tail of the tape while we have some time here. Pavlovich, Aspinall, you can see there, 31 years old to 30. I feel, for some reason, I thought Aspinall was a lot younger, but he's not. 18-1 to 13-3, 6'3" to 6'5", 84 to 78. So you'll see there, Aspinall going to be a little bit taller, but the reach advantage going to Sergei Pavlovich in this fight. And we already have odds for this fight right now. We have Tom Aspinall as the underdog, Sergei Pavlovich at -125. You guys know, if you've been watching this channel, who I'm going with here. I'm going with Tom Aspinall, and you're getting him at plus money right now. Please and thank you. I will take that. Now look, Pavlovich, super dangerous guy. He can knock out pretty much anyone. We've seen him go on an incredible run, knocking out everyone left, right, and center. But my thing is, Aspinall is so fast. This guy moves like a light heavyweight, and we really haven't seen him take any damage at all. He had the one injury with Curtis Blades. I mean, that was more of an injury than a Curtis Blades win. Let's be real about that. But Aspinall's good everywhere. Great ground game. Like, the thing with Aspinall is, like, he's going in there and he's not like, here's the kind of the way I look at it. Aspinall's going in there and destroying his opponents, like, left, right, and center. Tybura, first round finish. Volkov, straight arm lock submission win, which by the way is a win that has aged quite well. Volkov's gone on a nice run after this. Sergei Spivak finished him in the first round. Arlovsky, I mean, again, not the greatest opposition out there, but he's just like, he's good everywhere. Like, he's good on the ground. He's got good stand up. He's just extremely dangerous. Now look, Pavlovich has been on quite the run himself. He's been knocking everyone out, but it's all been the same way. He's been knocking everyone out. That's it. He's like got a puncher's chance. He's like the new Derek Lewis, right? Knockout, knockout, knockout. Does he knock out Tom Aspinall? I don't know. Aspinall's pretty fast. He's got pretty good striking defense. I think that's a tall task. Like, to me, you're talking about a guy in Aspinall who's a little bit younger, has more weapons. I got to go Aspinall in this fight. I really think that he's got the edge here. And I'll do an early look preview on this as well, because, this is a big fight and, deserves its early look treatment for sure. Maybe I'll even do that this week if I have some time. But, yeah, this is going to be an absolute banger. But, I just, overall, if you're looking at UFC 295 right now, I mean, Yuri and Alex Pereira is going to be amazing. By the way, just looking at the poll here, that looks like people are agreeing with me with Aspinall there. But let's look at this card. So again, like, if you're like a hardcore MMA fan, this is, not a bad card here, right? You got Yuri and Alex, you got Pavlovich and Aspinall. This is where things take a serious drop off. Andrade and Dern, not very good. Like, I think Dern probably wins that. Andrade has been on some sort of free fall in her career. Pat Sabatini and Diego Lopez is a fun fight. It is not a pay-per-view worthy fight, in my opinion. And same with Matt Frivola and Benoit Saint-Denis. Again, amazing fight. Would love to see this on like a fight night card, co-main event or something. Not a pay-per-view worthy card. People are going to get mad at me for saying this, but they do it again and again and again. They keep stacking like certain cards, and then they leave the rest of the cards for like nothing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you could have taken a fight or two from 296 and put it on this card, you're probably not going to have people complaining too much, but that's what we have here. Like, from a marquee perspective, this has got to be one of the weakest New York cards that they've ever done. Like, go look at the history of some of the New York cards they've done, going back all the way to UFC 205 when you had like Habib on the prelims, or like I think Vicente Luque and Bilal Muhammad was on the prelims too. Like, they had just a stack card, and this is like a fun card, but it's not a pay-per-view worthy card. And again, nothing against any of these fighters like Andrade, Dern, Sabatini, all these guys, but those are not pay-per-view worthy fights. It's not. And I think the UFC is taking advantage of the consumer, knowing that, hey, we're going to New York, we know you're going to buy tickets. I don't like that personally. So listen, no, I'm going to be buying this pay-per-view. I'll be watching it, but for anyone that bought tickets, especially nowadays with the tickets in New York being overpriced, you're not really getting your money's worth. I'm sorry. From a marquee perspective, losing Jones and Stipe is a huge blow to this card. So that's my overall thoughts on the switch up to UFC 295. Again, I'm going to go with Tom Aspinall in this fight, and I will have a more in-depth preview later on. So I want to know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you think Stipe should have fought Sergei Pavlovich? Do you also understand what I was talking about here, that if you're Stipe, there's really no upside into fighting Sergei Pavlovich, especially for an interim title? Vacant title, I could somewhat understand it, but an interim title, listen, they've been trying to do this Jon Jones and Stipe fight for years. Why would you take on a guy in Pavlovich just to satisfy your audience? Like, again, we've seen too many legends on the wrong side of a highlight reel. Who do you think wins that fight between Pavlovich and Aspinall? I'd love to get your prediction on this one. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, @Lynch on Sports. I got to go to the gym right now. Wanted to do this before I headed there, but thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon.